your baseline for being in shape. I'm Tony. Welcome back to Streetball Strategies.
Everybody trying to live a meaningful life, but have you ever wondered if you wasted your time? They ain't know the struggle, they don't know what it's like. I'm pretty exhausted, yeah, I put in the time.
So in January, as it is now, I spend a lot of this month focusing on losing weight, getting in shape so that you can be a better basketball player. And I was recently thinking about, what does being in shape actually mean? And you could say, well, it means different things to different players. Like it depends on how each person feels individually to determine whether or not they're in shape. And yes, technically that is true, but that's not really an answer, and that's certainly not an answer that you came here to get. So I've devised a few conditions under which I believe you could consider yourself to be in shape. And so over the next few weeks, I'm going to make a small video series about the conditions that pertain to being in shape and tips on how to get there. As I will talk about in future videos, I have come down with 3 categories to consider yourself being in shape. Those categories being how you feel, how you perform, and how you look. And as far as your baseline for being in shape, what we're talking about is, what is your bare minimum? What is your bare minimum for what you consider being in shape? What conditions have to be in place? And those conditions can take place in any of those 3 categories or multiple categories. For example, you could say my baseline for being in shape falls mostly in the performance category. So when I think about my bare minimum, my baseline for what I consider whether or not I'm actually in shape, what I think of is emergency. If there is some kind of unforeseeable emergency that takes place, that happens, and I'm completely still, completely static and stationary, whether I'm sitting down, laying down, or even asleep, if some kind of emergency circumstance happens and pops off, can I go from being still to being athletic, having some kind of athletic movement happening like that if an emergency happens? Say for instance, somebody I love is 50 or 60 feet away from me, and they are in imminent and pretty much immediate danger. And the only way I can save them from that danger is if I go from standing here being completely still to sprinting to them absolutely as fast as I possibly can. Can I make that sprint? And I don't mean like, can I eventually get there if I like trot to them because I'm so out of shape I can only barely jog to them. No, what I mean is, can I effectively sprint to them and get to them to help them get away from that danger? Currently, right now, in this moment, my answer to that would be, you're damn right I could make that sprint. Not only could I make that sprint, but I could sprint back here if I had to. And it's January, it's my off season, so my cardio is down. I'm probably 15 pounds heavier than I would be during the actual season, during the summer. But I could still make that sprint if I had to, so my answer for whether or not my baseline to if I'm in shape or not would be yes. So establish a bare minimum, a baseline for you to determine whether or not you are actually in shape or not. And if your answer to that baseline question is yes, you are in shape, then great. Build from that, improve, explore, go beyond that, see how far you can go, how much you can build from that point. But if you're not in shape, if your answer to that baseline question of are you at the bare minimum for what you consider to be in shape, if your answer is no, then here's what I think you should do. And it's something I do myself, and I think it's universal, and everybody should have this reaction if you are not yet in shape. If my answer was no and I'm not in shape, if I can't make that sprint in an emergency situation, then my reaction to that is I feel shame. I am ashamed for not being at my minimum requirement for being in shape. If I can't respond to an emergency efficiently, and I'm not, middle-aged, or I'm not an old guy yet, if I can't physically respond efficiently to an emergency, and that's my baseline, if I can't do that, I am ashamed. I feel shame. And I encourage you to do that as well. And when I say shame, I'm not talking about today's version of shame or today's stupid society version of shame. Today's version of shame equals depression. Because what happens today, today's people, our generation right now in 2021, when you say shame, what happens is, okay, I feel shame. Now, because I'm ashamed, somehow in my mind, that means I'm a terrible person. Because I feel shame. I did something shameful. So now I'm a terrible person. So that means if I'm a terrible person, now I need to be depressed. And now, while I'm depressed, nothing is happening. All I'm doing is wallowing in my self-pity and nothing positive is taking place. I just sit around and hope that eventually and magically the depression will go away and then I will somehow magically feel better. And one of the problems with that is that, okay, once the depression goes away and you start to feel better, what happens in the future when a similar situation starts to occur again? When you see those similar circumstances taking place and they're forming and they're coming towards you, so a similar situation is on the horizon and it will soon be at your doorstep, what happens then? Well, then you start to feel anxiety for the same situation that just gave you the depression. And pretty much anxiety is depression just without the sadness. In that, when you're depressed, when you have anxiety, you're frozen. You do nothing. Nothing positive happens when you're stuck in anxiety or depression. When I say shame, when I say I feel ashamed, what I mean is old school shame, proper shame, what shame is supposed to stand for, what it's supposed to do, which is the result of shame is supposed to spark improvement. Feeling shame used to mean that I feel this shame, it feels terrible, I don't want to feel it anymore, I never want to feel it again. How do I make sure that happens? Well, what I do is I take action. I put in effort to try to change myself, improve my conditions, improve my situation, so that in the future, if these same circumstances start to take place, they may be the same circumstances, but I will be a new and improved person with new and improved conditions and situations. So if those same conditions happen, they won't affect me the same way because I will be new and improved. And in the meantime, while I'm trying to become new and improved, I can stop that shameful feeling right here, right now, simply by trying, by taking action, by putting in effort to improve. The most important thing is that you try, because not everything that you attempt, not every effort that you put in is going to yield positive results in the amount or intensity that you would like. You're going to try stuff to improve your situation. It's not going to happen the way you want it to or as much as you would want it to, so you're going to have to try something else. You try something else, and until you start to find stuff that starts to work for you so that you can improve your situation, so that you can start getting up towards that baseline. You'll find something that works and you go, oh, that's a little bit better, not quite what I want it to be yet. So then you play with it, you modify it, you go, oh, okay, now that's more towards where I'm trying to be. And that's experimenting. That's what it's going to take. Not everything you do is just going to go from 0 to 100 and you're going to be all good. You're going to have to try. The important thing always will be your effort. Start trying right now. Make mistakes, learn from them, get better. So have a baseline, have a bare minimum requirement for what you consider to be in shape. Set a standard for yourself. Hold yourself to that standard. When you're setting it, be as specific as you can possibly be. Eventually, in this series, we're going to talk about setting goals. And the more specific your goals are, the better. And when it comes to setting your baseline for what you consider being in shape, the more specific you can be with that, the better as well. Once you get there, and you will, once you're there, then build from that, explore from there, get better from there. So thank you guys for watching. Like I said, this is going to be a small mini kind of video series over the next couple weeks. Maybe we'll talk about some basketball specific stuff, motivation and stuff like that. But over the next couple weeks, I'm going to focus on this getting in shape series and what it actually means and how you can actually get there. So if you guys found this video helpful, that's great. A thumbs up would be great. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, hit the subscribe button. The best thing you can do to support me, to support this channel, is to become a subscriber. And believe me, as small as this channel is in January of 2022, every subscriber, when you guys hit that button, it means the world to me. Also hit that notification bell. If you hit that bell, you will always be notified whenever any of my new videos come out, so you don't miss anything. So thank you guys again, and I will see you guys later, a few days, next week, soon. That was weird. I don't know why I did that. But I'll be back. That's all you need to know.
It's like work, hustle, grind it till you die, but it's like race, not muscle, and everything I write. I wrote this one for my independence. Go ahead, get your happy ending.